Hey guys! On today's episode of Pour Into My Cup, I interview Amani, social media strategist. We talk about defining Amani, how you have to put in the work to get the results you want, and how social media impacts your mental health. Stay tuned to have your cup filled.
Who is Amani? Okay, that is a loaded question. I feel like Amani is the little black butterfly that could. Anything that I pretty much put my mind to or I'm super passionate about, I go after it, and there's literally nothing that holds me back. But I think that that can sometimes be a fault of mine because I start to dabble in so many things and I get so overwhelmed and I don't know what to do and I just kind of want to quit everything at once. Um, but growing up, life was it was pretty interesting. So I actually I don't live with my mom. I live with my dad and my stepmom and my brothers. So my relationship towards my family and me just being a Scorpio and kind of wanting to have my own independence and be in my own bubble, my own world, I don't know. I kind of felt like I was always like that isolated child, but by my own will. And so I think that by me wanting to be in my own space, in my own world, that's kind of where I came into my own identity of wanting to be a writer and like finding my love for poetry and books. But then I also realized that through my isolation, there was a lot of things that I was yearning for, whether it was from family, friends, like intimate relationships with guys. And so that's kind of when I came into the realization that, like, hey, like I'm kind of sad or I feel lonely, like what's really going on? And then by me isolating myself and not really having that relationship that I like really wanted with my family definitely took a toll on to like my depression and things like that. So it was definitely I would say senior year in high school where I realized like yo, like something's really wrong with me and I don't really know like who to talk to at this point. And so I think one of the like really big turning points for me was my senior year of high school. I was dating this boy who was my first love. And then like he ended up cheating on me with another girl that went to the same high school. Like I experienced them like kissing in the hallway, holding hands, like everything. And like I was just like so like overflown with just like so much emotion that I didn't know like what to do with it at all. And so that was actually the first time that I like experienced like having suicidal thoughts, and that was also the first time that I actually tried to act on committing suicide and things like that. So it was really from there that I was just like, all right, who is Amani? What does she love? What's going on? How can we make her better? Like, what is it that we can do just so that she can be the best Amani that she can be? And so from there, when I went off to college, I didn't get into my dream school. My dream school is Temple University. So I just decided that, you know, wherever my feet fall, that's where I'm going to be. And I'm going to be like super successful no matter what. Um, and so college was a very transitional time for me. I definitely think that was when I really started to come into my own person, being away from home, making new friends. And I'm also like really a social butterfly. So really, I just had so many different like pods and cliques of friends. And so I think that's like a good and a bad thing as well, only because, you know, when it comes down to like, you know, like your birthday or like you wanting to do something, like it's always kind of hard to kind of grab like those four or three solid friends to kind of do everything with, but instead you have so many pockets of friends like everywhere else. Um, and so I think friendships and relationships is like a major theme for me throughout college. Um, and yeah, I think I definitely like found my passion for writing somewhat at the tail end of college because I didn't really know that like journalism was something that I can like ultimately um do as like a career. So once I realized that my senior year, I was like, oh my God, this is what I want to do. Like, forget public health. Like, I want to write, I want to write, I want to write. Um, and so in essence, I would say that my junior and senior years were also another point in my life where I experienced a very deep depression, just because I didn't know what was going to happen after I graduated. You know, our parents put a lot of pressure on us to kind of know what we want to do with the rest of our lives by the time 17 or 18, freshman year in college. And so by me not knowing, I was like, oh my God, I guess I'm gonna apply to all these like crappy jobs in public health and be miserable and just like see what happens from there. But like I said, anything I'm passionate about, I'll put my mind to it. So junior year, I really started to explore and like take advantage of how close I was to New York City and just immerse myself in all of the events that were in New York City. And that's pretty much how I came about to be like a blogger and things like that. So I think my blogging really helped me take off into what the world of journalism was really like. And so then I also started making connections with people from Every Stylish Girl and Everything Girls Love. And also by just continuing to put myself out there, I pretty much met Elise Fox from the Sad Girls Club. And now I'm the editor in chief there, and now I'm literally living up my dreams, well, my writer editor dreams there at the Sad Girls Club. So life is just one crazy roller coaster. I never know like what's gonna happen, who I'm gonna meet, what opportunity is gonna come landing right in my lap. But I definitely will say through a lot of hard work and long, lonely nights, just looking in the mirror, trying to figure out who I am. It's definitely all paying off, but the journey still continues, and there's just so much more. I have no idea what's next, but that is where I've been so far.
Can I just say, like, wow, like, I commend you for only being 22, but having gone through like all that you've gone through just because I am 24. But I feel like even my friends who are older than me and some who are younger than me just haven't taken the time for like self discovery and just being like open with what's going like with feelings and emotions. And personally, I do feel like it's something in the Black culture where we're taught like, yes, you have these feelings and emotions, but put it aside because you have like stuff to get done or make happen. But I commend you
Right.
for like all of that. Like, wow. It's hard because everything you just talked about is basically everything that I want to discuss about you and like
Mm-hmm.
just who you are as a person. But
Mm-hmm.
I do want to start off with college. Do you think
Okay.
when I was in school, I worked also with international students. And I've never heard of this when I was in high school or even when I first started college, but a lot of them talked about how they took a gap year before they went to college. Do you think taking a gap
Mm-hmm.
year is important to just kind of like figure out who you are as a person and like take the time, like you've already been through like 18 years of school? Were you presented with the opportunity to take a gap year? Did you know what that was? Do you even know what that is now?
So yes, I do know what a gap year is, but with my family, absolutely not. The goal was you're gonna go to high school, you're gonna graduate, you're gonna apply to all these colleges, and you're gonna go straight through. It was a fear that if you take a gap year, um, and you start to get the taste of like a real paycheck, you're probably not gonna want to go back to school. And also this fear as being a Black woman, not having a at least a bachelor's degree, I'm not going to be able to get nearly as close to my dreams as I want to. So it was the idea that okay, 4 years in high school, 4 years in college, and then like we'll see what happens from there. But I personally do think that it is important if someone says like, look, I do not like school and I do not think that I am ready. I think it's important for our parents to not force us to go ahead and go to school, because then like what happens when you don't get a scholarship and now you have to pay for these loans all by yourself, and then like you drop out, now you have to pay for that, and then at some point later on you decide you want to go back, and then you just have to like make up all this extra work and still have to pay off those loans from that 1 year. And college is really like it is a wild experience, and it takes a lot for someone to be like, I'm ready. This is what I want to do. And kudos to you if you feel, super prepared. But I mean, it doesn't happen like that for everyone. And I think that people should, like, have patience, whether it's like your child, your friend, your cousin, whoever. But I definitely think gap years are important. And although like it's, before you go to college, you still are kind of young to take a gap year and try to figure out what you want like within that first year, but at least like you're making a choice that you are happy with. And I think that's super important just for, people in our generation growing up to be able to do whatever makes you happy. Like, block out all the noise, forget about this like one track to success and how the ladder is supposed to work, but doing what makes you happy is ultimately like what creates and cultivates you to be this person that you've always imagined and dreamed of being. And I can attest to that just because, I said in high school, oh my God, I had an amazing public health teacher. So I was like, I'm going to do this when I go to college. And then I realized, like, actually, I don't want to do this. And so I listened to my own voice and I said, no, like, I'm going to go after my dreams in journalism. I didn't get a degree in it, but I was still able to manifest these opportunities because I was so passionate about it. So I say whatever, your intuition is telling you, or whatever that little buzzword is, or that feeling you get when you're like working on something, I would definitely say like follow that, because you won't find that feeling from anywhere else. So gap years definitely are important, no matter if it's for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. I feel like you just should follow your own individualized and unique journey.
And I do want to point out that I have also a lot of people that I just know of who they go to school and they get a degree, but like you mentioned, you got your degree in public health, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
However, when they start the work field, they're not doing a job that's related to what they got their degree in. What advice do you have for people who, like your situation, where they're halfway through college and they're like, wait, I'm going to school for public health, but I actually want to do journalism? What's your advice to other people who may be in similar situations and decide, well, maybe should I switch or should I just finish this out? And if I do decide to finish this out, how do I stay motivated to keep, doing the work?
Right. So for me, I decided I'm just gonna finish this out because I realized that I didn't really like school the way that I like school. And I think it was probably just because I didn't get into my dream school, didn't have that like HBCU kind of culture feel. Like I just didn't have that at all. I went to a predominantly white institution, so there was just a lot of pushback and things for me that I just didn't really like. But my advice for someone who decides to, like me, decide to just stick it out is, in the process of sticking it out, if you're passionate about writing, put your writing out there. If you're passionate about fashion or you want to be a stylist, start, getting your friends together and doing little, styling shoots and putting them on Instagram. You have to put your work out there. There is really like no other way, like, to put it. Like, it's almost like being an entrepreneur, because you're trying to like mold this like this dream or this brand of yours that you ultimately really want to work for the rest of your life. So it's really all about how bad you want it and how much work you're really, wanting to put in. And although I was like really depressed my junior and senior year, I think it was so refreshing and such a creative outlet for me to be able to work on my own writing and blogging, aside from all the midterms and the tests and just internships and things like that. But also still being able to give your space to have that creative freedom is really what allows me to stay motivated and pretty much hold the faith to making my dreams a reality. Also, utilize your resources. I didn't even realize how close I was to New York City, like I said earlier. I'm literally only like an hour and 45 minutes away from New York City. Like, there's no reason why I can keep saying, oh my God, I want to move to New York, but I'm not in New York pretty much like every weekend trying to make this happen.
Mhm.
That you definitely need to just put in the work, utilize your resources, and just pretty much like just hold the faith. Like, put your work out there, and you cannot be afraid to ask for what you want. One of my favorite quotes by one of my friends, Jamae Jackson, who works at BuzzFeed, she was talking to me about some other opportunity, and I was like, I'm afraid or whatever, and she goes, "You have not because you ask not." So it's like, if
Mm.
you're not, taking advantage of your resources or asking for help or asking for a contact or to be, wherever you want to be, you're not gonna get it, especially in this day and age. Everything just moves so quick and people don't have time to wait on someone who's like unsure really of what they want to do. You have to be like super firm in what you want to do and just ask for it. You never know the answer or the response that you're going to get from someone.
I definitely do agree with that. But I feel like with a lot of people, it's taking the time to like also do self discovery to figure out what it is exactly you want to do, so that way you can be firm in who you are. How did you like
Right.
finally stumble upon journalism and decide, you know what, this is exactly what I want to do and not public health? Or was journalism always something you wanted to do?
Mm-hmm. I definitely came into this realization just by realizing that like public health is kind of like, to me, I wasn't able to use my voice as much as I wanted to in public health. And I think it's just by me being able to realize, going back to my childhood, me being isolated and always kind of wanting to have like these really great relationships. I realized that I didn't get that as a child because I didn't ask for it. So by me not using my voice, I realized how much I was held back. And so through my writing, I pretty much like used to do like some little poetry, like clips here and there, posted on my Instagram, and I got like really good feedback. Like at such a young age, like grown women telling me, "Oh my god, like you're wise beyond your years," this, that, and the third. And I'm like, okay, like maybe I actually am like pretty good at this. So I literally just kept sticking to my writing, and then I also started therapy, especially after the incident that happened in high school. And then I realized that there was something about therapy that I just didn't really like, because I started realizing that I was getting dependent on my therapist to make me feel better. So for me as a Scorpio, Scorpio is a symbol of self transformation and death. So it's all about pretty much how can you continue to rebirth and reinvent yourself in many different ways in different stages of life. And so I pretty much said, you know what is it that I can do to make myself feel like I do not have to be dependent on anybody to make myself feel better? And so through my poetry and through my writing, I was able to realize just so much through my thoughts and visualizing them and seeing them on paper. And so I was like, wow, like I have so much that I want to say, but why is it that only my journal gets to see this? And there was a point where I was like, a lot of stuff that I'm experiencing, I know that so many other people are experiencing as well, but we're just in a time where people are, or at least the Black community is afraid to kind of like really bring that stuff to light, or just don't really know how to tackle it or deal with it at all. And so I definitely think through therapy, I found a little bit more of my voice. That's pretty much where the journaling came from me. And then I was just like, you know what? Like, I am super energetic. I'm an extrovert. So how can I like integrate these two things for myself? So it's like, why not just put your work out there? And so through the self work of going to therapy, journaling, just sitting with myself in solitude, and just being in isolation, like I literally had nothing but myself and a pen and paper. And so I was like, why is that every time I feel alone, like I'm in arm's reach of my journal and my pen? Like, what is this trying to tell me? So I was like, you know what, just write, everybody. Just keep writing, just keep writing. And I was like, I'm just going to put this on my blog and I'm going to be as vulnerable as possible. And if you don't like it, then you don't like it. And it pretty much started from there. So I would say that's like a lot of the self work, just being alone and asking the questions that like you're kind of afraid to ask, and pretty much challenging the status quo or the typical going to therapy and seeing how you can come out of that. So yeah.
I definitely agree. And it's funny that you mentioned the part about you going to therapy, but then you realizing that you were becoming too dependent on therapy.
Hmm.
I was listening to a podcast or reading an article, and someone said, yes, you should go to therapy to help you like hash out whatever you're trying to like, work on about yourself, but you should never have this as your like forever
Right.
source of help. You always should be looking for other things that you could be doing to help you get out of whatever like state of mind that you're trying to like, stop about yourself. And in your case, it was depression and other things that was going on.
Hmm.
And I have to say about your blog, I love reading your blog just because I feel like you're almost, it's like you know me and you're like saying the things that I just can't say or sometimes I'm afraid to say. by being looked at as crazy or depressed or just like not being looked at as that way, but being judged and being seen as, oh my gosh, like you need help, like you're not in your right mind, and not being viewed as it's okay to feel this way. It's okay to actually have feelings and not always be this happy, bubbly person. And that's where I feel like I can totally relate with you because I'm always seen as a happy, bubbly person. But it's like, hey, I also do have bad days too. I
Right.
also go through things. It's just I choose to not put it out into the world the same way other people do and just be negative about it. Um, I know one of your blog posts on Better Days, you said if you battle depression like I do, then you might understand that your mental health isn't always contingent upon external factors or your circumstances, but rather a twisted journey of discovering your truest self. You basically showed me a new way of like looking at mental health from that statement. But can you explain like what you meant in your own words by that statement?
Yeah, so a lot of the things that I would say, allow us to, feel sad or feel lonely come from these external factors. Like whether it's, oh my God, like my boyfriend he didn't text me back, or like this happened, like my friend didn't come through, she didn't show up. Um, and really, I just think that when it comes to your mental health, like you have to realize that a lot of it is also coming from past experiences and just a lot of stuff that you can't even kind of like either pinpoint or connect to just because of how I would say traditional or passed down it is just through like, families and generations and things like that. So it's like, how can you now try to figure out how to best navigate your mental health and do what's essentially best for you? Um, and so it's all just so crazy because a lot of the things that we internalize, go through our minds first. And so it's like, what can we do to be able to um, pinpoint our feelings and to be able to try to turn it into something positive? And sometimes, like, a lot of this stuff, when people talk about self care, self love, like, a lot of this shit, like, it's really like, it's ugly. Like, it's not all cute. Like, I'm just gonna take some CBD and like a woosah, like I'm okay. Like, no, that's really not how it works. Like, it takes a lot of crying. It takes a lot of being depressed and not eating, not showering, not brushing your teeth. And it's just like those moments you really have to be able to like take account of and be able, like, I think you should note, those moments down. Like, say I didn't shower and like see the progression and how like you're moving forward. And then that way you'll be able to like look back on the days that you're feeling better and just like, wow, like I really went through like a dark time. And then when you are at those better days, just being able to like say like, look, I don't want to go back to that place. So let me open up my journal and look back to where I was and seeing what I can change throughout that journey. Um or that point in time. So I don't know, like I just think, depression and anxiety is just like, it's so personalized. Like sometimes it's hard for me to speak to it because it's just like I feel like if I'm speaking to it, then I'm kind of like speaking for everybody that kind of like deals with depression and anxiety. But it's just so many different factors that like sometimes I can't even understand like why I have this feeling or where is this feeling coming from. And then when I was at the Black Girl in No Root to Rise retreat for my birthday weekend, this woman named Liana, she pretty much told me when we were like finished meditating, I told her that I was like having this like really like difficult feeling of like loneliness and I didn't know where it was coming from. And I kept trying to say, like, I'm trying to put the pieces together, but I can't. And she was pretty much telling me that, like sometimes you will get a sensation and not always have a story for it. So I definitely do think that it's important for us to not always try to say, like, I'm depressed and trying to pinpoint a certain reason or a certain person or experience for making someone feel that way or making you feel that way. So it's definitely just about just sometimes you just have to sit with that emotion and you just have to feel it out. Like I don't really know like how to really talk about it, but yeah, it's just so much that really just goes into all of it, the whole journey.
But it's interesting that you say you feel like you're the voice of mental health because in a sense I feel like you are a voice at least for me,
Mhm.
just because I feel like right now mental health is becoming more of like something that's actually talked about, especially in the Black community. There's like the different hashtags like Black mental health matters.
Mhm.
And I feel like now it's being seen as this is okay. Like you
Mhm.
can feel this way. Like we can talk about this. You can seek help. It's okay to get a therapist. Like before, I felt like if I were to say like, "Oh, I'm going to get a therapist," oh, like what do you need a therapist for? Like only rich people do that, or oh, only people who are going through like real life, like not saying like people saying like my stuff wasn't like real life or bad enough. Like people who are going through like major crisis go to therapy, or there's just like a stereotype behind it. And I feel like now it's seen as me as the everyday Black girl. Oh, you're going to therapy? How's that going for you? Like I was actually considering like it's a norm now.
Mhm.
And I just want to know, like, in your own words, what is mental health to you, and how do you feel about this new movement and wave of mental health being brought to like the forefront?
This okay. I've had a lot of heavy thoughts on this, but I just haven't found a way to come out and like really say it just yet. But I will say that yes, this movement that's happening now is so great. Like I'm so happy that people are being less judgmental and more concerned about the people around them and their state of mind. But on the flip side of that, I feel like it's still all very surface level. Like there's something about this movement that I feel that people are not really digging deeper into. And I think that's really what bothers me the most because I feel like when we talk about mental health, then we also have to tie in these now buzzwords of self care and self love that a lot of these major brands are capitalizing on, and trying to integrate them both into the movement of mental health. Um, and I feel like I said, the movement is great, but I don't know. I just feel like there's still something more that we're not really talking about to a certain extent that really encapsulates the whole picture of mental health. And so for me, I think that mental health is just really doing the self work and recognizing and understanding when either you're not okay or when something is wrong and just being able to come aware and do the work. And I would say that mental health is just really like, it's just in essence just doing the work to figure out who you really are. And it comes to a point where we have all these pressures from society to go to school, do this, do that, work, 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 be a girl boss, don't sleep kind of thing. That's when things start to get a little, fuzzy and blurry, and we start to lose the true essence of who we are. And then now we have, oh my God, like I'm sad, like I'm sleep deprived, like I'm tired, what's going on? So I just think it's mental health is a lot of outside factors and all the outside noise pretty much like seeping into the true essence of who we are, and we lose who we are. So I think that's where a lot of the mental health issues come from, aside from mental health issues that may be genetic or hereditary. I think that a lot of people who grow into depression, it comes from a lot of external factors. But yeah.
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt the episode, but we just have to pay some bills and keep the podcast running. So here's a message from our sponsor. All right, intermission is over. Let's resume the episode. Do you think kind of like you were saying, you feel like we're at like the surface level of mental health? Do you feel like it has something to do with, well, do you feel like social media has a part in this? And what I mean by that is I feel like for example, with this is going like way off topic, but I feel like for example, jobs, they like to say like they have diversity and inclusion. So it's like, okay, we have the one Black girl or the one Black guy, check. oh, we have the Asian guy, check. We have the Hispanic person, check. But then 75% of the office is still white.
Mhm.
It's like people with mental health, it's almost like they're just checking off a box. Okay, I
Mhm.
spent 10 minutes meditating, check, I'm done, that's it. But it's like mental health is deeper than that. Like you have to really like get vulnerable and get uncomfortable with yourself to really
Mhm.
push back the layers that have been like building up for years or however long certain issues have been building, and really
Mhm.
like slowly and over time unpacking all the baggage and really just getting to know yourself. Because
Mhm.
yes, you have been with yourself however many years you've been alive, but I feel like we as people, we kind of like push certain things aside and kind of like ignore certain things about ourselves because we want to be viewed like as this perfect person or like this amazing human being. But when it comes to
Mhm.
mental health and like really diving into it, you have to like see the ugliness inside of yourself to really get better.
Yes. Mhm.
Um, what mental health practices do you partake in?
So I definitely will say I started to build my own ritual, and my ritual is non-negotiable. Like this is every day, even when I don't feel like getting out of bed. So I pretty much I keep my phone on do not disturb before I go to sleep. And so that way, like whoever texts me, Instagram notification, I won't hear it. And so I like wake up in the morning and I will like make sure to drink a glass of water, and then I would like do my yoga. And then through my yoga practice, I've definitely found like new ways to really take it to another level, whether that's playing like a certain meditation sound or like these new songs that like I found from like Black Girl in Gnome. Like I'll play those to really get deep into my practice. And I'll make sure to like light candles and some other things that I like to do. I love a hot bubble bath. Like me being a water sign, it's something about me being immersed or near water that literally puts me at ease. I don't know what it is, but I love it. And then some other practices, like always, is journaling. For some reason, journaling has gotten a bit harder for me these days, and I don't know if it's just because my time is consumed with so many other things and like I'm constantly writing, but I'm not writing about the things that I should be writing about, like asking myself the hard questions and things like that. But nonetheless, journaling is always still there. I've definitely been learning to do more breath work exercises and finding breath patterns to release anxiety, stress, and things like that. And I definitely say like my diet has definitely been a great asset to my mental health by adding in more whole and clean foods. I haven't been eating meat for about a year and a half now.
Oh.
So I'm pescatarian, but I still do eat seafood. But that has definitely helped a lot for me. And like I said, just drinking more water and a lot of these mental health practices I also consider my self-care practices. So definitely keeping like my body on a schedule. Because by keeping my body on a schedule and then noticing when I'm not on schedule is definitely like a great indicator. Like, okay, Amani, what's going on? Why are you not washing your hair on this day? Why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing that? And that definitely helps me pinpoint certain moments as to when something has happened so I can be able to sit down and really sit with myself to figure out what's going on. um and definitely my relationships are a really good self-care practice for me. So like I said, I like to be alone and pretty much do my own thing, but still being able to check in on my friends to let them know that like I'm not dying, I'm not MIA, but like this is the space that I need, this is what's going on, but I still love you, keep me in mind, text me when you can. And just being able to just keep everything free flowing. So yeah.
So, stepping back a little bit, do you feel that social media is correlated with the rise in mental health issues, or is it that social media kind of like helps to educate people about mental health and I don't want to say diagnose themselves, but start to let them realize, okay, like I need to go like learn more about this and how you just went over your routine. I need to build my own routine or just learn about more ways that I can like build a better mental health for myself and practices.
Yeah, so I do think that social media is good and bad to the whole mental health movement and just your mental health overall. And I definitely think that Instagram peeped that because now they have the Instagram like time checks where like you can set how many hours you want to be on Instagram, and then like if you reach that capacity, it'll tell you like your time is up. Do you want to like continue or whatever? So I definitely do think that social media platforms are realizing how detrimental they can be to your mental health because it's so easy to get caught up in your timeline and your feed and seeing what everybody else is doing, and you're just in here in your bed and realizing that the whole day went by and you're not doing nothing for yourself at all. So I do think that it can be bad in that sense, but I do think that it's really great in being able to connect us with so many different people and so many different resources to be able to learn more about things and issues that we probably never would be exposed to. Because people can say, oh, like, get off of social media. But, for our generation, who else are we going to go and talk to? Our generation is the age of instant gratification. Nobody has the time to say, oh, I'm going to go call my doctor and schedule an appointment to go talk to them about X, Y, and Z when it's all at my fingertips. But then, there's a flip side to that, seeing everything on Google or WebMD saying, oh my God, like I'm feeling sad for like 10 days. Now I have like major depressive disorder or something like that. And so I definitely do think that you have to draw a line and set your own boundaries with social media. At what point are you now self-diagnosing yourself while not actually asking your own self these questions, but you just happen to see other people going through it? Um, or what can you do to pretty much like take your own mental health into your own hands? Like, what are you doing when you're not on social media? And I think that's where the real work comes into play. So it's a blessing and it's a curse at the same time, but you definitely do have to create your own boundaries and know when enough is enough, and be able to block out that outside noise. Because, like I said, if your mental illness is not genetics or hereditary, I do think that a lot of people growing into anxiety or depression is coming from external factors. And a major thing being Instagram and social media and following all these people who either sometimes make you feel bad because you're aspiring to be like this person, but you feel like you'll never attain that level of success or this influencer kind of level that they're on. So they make you feel bad. So it's just at what level or what line do you cross? Say, you know what, like I need to put this away and do what I need to do for me, or even just like unfollowing certain people.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
I definitely agree with that last statement. I like last month, I think it was, I kind of did like a social media detox in the sense of
Mm-hmm.
not being off of social media, but just cleaning up my social media accounts. Just because I
Mm-hmm.
felt like if I'm going to be on social media, I want to be looking at things that inspire me or motivate me to be better, do better, and just push towards my goals and my purpose in life. And I deleted so many
Mm-hmm.
different accounts and people that I was following, and immediately my feelings or emotions I feel when I get on social media is completely different. I don't know how to describe it, but it's like I just feel more okay, let me get off of social media so I can go like get stuff done. It feels so much better. Um
Mm-hmm.
so switching up the topics a little bit,
Absolutely.
how does your involvement with organizations like Sad Girls Club and Every Stylish Girl, how does that help with your mental health in the sense of like building relationships?
They have been amazing. First of all, because both of them are based in New York City. So I'm kind of like forced to get out the house and go and network and go meet people and go to these events and do these interviews. So they have been great in building relationships. I think that I have cultivated a really great sisterhood with both the Sad Girls Club and Every Stylish Girl. Just in both of those positions, I write, and so it's a great outlet for me to be able to, one, write about mental health, and two, just being able to write about amazing women of color who are doing phenomenal things for our community. um and so it's like it's just literally like a dream come true. Like they have really helped mold me into being such a stronger voice, not only for myself but for other women of color and younger girls who are battling certain issues or looking to be a girl boss but don't know where to start. So I definitely think that I'm kind of on both ends of the spectrum, being able to talk about what it's like to either be an entrepreneur or, starting your own brand and still being able to keep your mental health in mind. So I really think that both of these roles are in essence of like who I am. So I think that they have been great in me building relationships and networking. They've been awesome.
And I always feel like, especially with me moving to a new city, I feel like a lot of people always ask me, like, how do you always, like, for me, how do I always stay involved and meet more organizations? But you're just involved in so many different organizations. How do you find the organizations and then get the courage to go out and get involved?
Um, I'm gonna bring it back to astrology just cause, but my rising is in Leo, so that's a fire sign, and Leo the is the ruler of the sun. So it's literally like it's bright, it's fluorescent, like it's out there, it's extroverted. So there's this essence of me where it's just like, oh my god, like she's doing like amazing work. How can I like be a part of this because I want to do great things too? Or oh my god, Sad Girls Club is partnering with Nike. Like that, I want to partner with Nike. So like, let me find a way to kind of like get involved. And I pretty much just like find the courage to do this because both of these organizations or platforms are doing the work that I've pretty much always wanted to do, especially after my own personal experiences with mental health and then wanting to be maybe my own boss one day or just be a girl boss in general. It's like I'm going to immerse myself wherever I feel that I'm going to feel most connected, and I'm going to find a great sisterhood. And I know that the work that I will do will feed me, it will nourish me, and it will nourish my creativity. So anything that I feel is essentially good for me, like I'm going after it. So I don't know, it's just like I'm going after whatever I feel is going to make me happy. And if it's the complete opposite, then I'm just gonna back away 100%, and you'll never even know that I was part of it.
So I know you said you're a writer for these organizations, but can you go into details like what exactly you do for each organization?
Yes. So with Every Stylish Girl, it started out as a internship, and I would say earlier this year or last year, I started out as the social media editor. And so during that time, I was making tweets and doing stuff for their Facebook page and doing live Twitter coverage for whether it was the Oscars, Grammys, whatever was happening. And then as I, got deeper into writing and things like that, my role transitioned into being a content writer. And so specifically in the beauty section, so I do like interviews and I would like pitch content articles to the founder, and I will pretty much just like simply just write articles either once or twice a month, depending on what's going on at that moment in time. So that's what I do at Every Stylish Girl, and then at the Sad Girls Club as the editor in chief, there is so much that I do. I'm literally in the works of designing and putting together the entire online platform that's actually going to be releasing in December. So I literally just onboarded a full team of contributing writers, people from Australia, people literally from all over. And so I'm working with a full team over there. We're having monthly meetings. I'm making sure that they're pitching their articles to me. So I literally am like a full blown editor. I'm trying to help these girls get in contact with amazing people that they're actually aspiring to work with or just speak to in general. So I do have a few interviews set up with some of the writers, and they are blown away. It's just like an opportunity that they were never expecting to have, and like now they have it with this amazing platform, the Sad Girls Club. And so also in my work at the Sad Girls Club, is pretty much to just spread awareness about mental health. We're women of color driven, so we're definitely trying to secure partnerships with other women of color owned brands and other companies that really align with our mission, and being able to curate events in real life that pretty much give women of color or anyone that comes to our events mental health services or just the help that they really need. And so I'm also pretty much just like a little mental health advocate over there at Sad Girls Club as well. So yeah.
And you said you have writers all the way in Australia, or did I hear you wrong?
Yes, we do. We have writers in Australia, and we have writers somewhere else international. Um,
That
yeah, so we are literally just trying to make sure that we are capturing the voices from people all over. And then we also do have like our little young social media intern. Her name is Hannah. I think she's 16 or 17. So we're really trying to make sure that we're capturing the younger voices as well because their voices really do matter. So Sad Girls Club is really like we're all about inclusivity and diversity and trying it throughout this mental health movement. And so we're really just trying to make sure that we're hitting all the points, whether it's like the location or whether it's like gender. We're also working on our Sad Boys Club initiative. So it's just like a lot of stuff that we are really trying to make sure gets highlighted that may not be getting highlighted through the mental health movement on like whether it's through entertainment on a TV level and stuff like that. But what can we do locally for the people that really essentially need it?
wow. And how do you balance being involved in these organizations and maintaining a personal life?
Honestly, that's the crazy thing. I think now that you've asked me that question, I'm really sitting here and reflecting like, where the heck are my friends? Like through all of the work that I am doing, I definitely say that because I'm so passionate and I put literally every fiber of my being into the work that I do, I tend to forget about the people that are closest to me. Um,
Mhm,
and so it's almost like my work becomes my personal life, and I
mhm,
don't allow space for my friends. Like, let's go hang out, let's go do this, let's go do that. And so a lot of the events that I'm going to kind of like, be around people, it's like, wow, like these are the people that like I'm really working with. They're also still my friends, but like as far as like friends from like, outside of the work that I do, like they're actually not really around. I'm not gonna say that it's because of them that they're not around. I think it's just because of me being so immersed in the work that I do and not really taking the time to actually like say, hey girl, like how you been? Like what's going on? And then the Scorpio in me, like being stubborn and selfish, I internalize that as like she don't even care about me, like she don't even want to
uh-huh,
check on me, so I'm not gonna check up on her, kind of thing. That's just me being stubborn and stuff that like I have to internalize and like really like do the work to really come to a realization that like it's not them, it's probably me. But so yeah, as far as the personal life, when it comes to dating as well, like dating is really just like non-existent for me right now. And
mhm,
I think it's just because I'm pretty much like afraid to kind of let somebody in because, like I said, with anything that I'm passionate about, I'm giving like every fiber of my being too. So if I get a man, like I'm scared that a lot of my work is gonna kind of be like, where is Amani? Why is she not blogging? Why is she not writing? It's because of my man, and I love him, and this, that, and the third. So it's just like I don't know. I just feel like really scared that like I'm gonna put my all into like one thing and kind of just like not really focus on the other. So that's something that I'm really trying to balance as well. So in the meantime, I'm just gonna make sure to put my all into my work. Until I feel like maybe I have a good handle on it all. I don't know, but yeah.
I completely, even though like you've been bringing up like your sign a lot, and I've been getting more into learning more about my sign. I'm a Cancer. I
Mhm.
completely agree, even though we're not the same signs, is
Mhm.
I'm the same way. I'm like the woman who like my work becomes my life.
Mhm.
So it's like my work friends are my friends, but when it comes to like personal things, like okay, I just want to go grab dinner with a friend, it's like, oh, well, we work together. So is this like I don't want to say it's inappropriate, but like let's not say dinner. Let's say like if I wanted to go grab a drink. It's
Mhm.
like, okay, like can I ask this work friend to go grab a drink with me because you don't want to sometimes mix business with pleasure. So
Uh-huh.
I'm always trying to just if I meet someone outside of the organizations, just practice like, okay, I need to like at least one day a week reach out to them, see how they're doing, or at least once a day. And then maybe like once every 2 weeks, okay, like we need to grab breakfast or some kind of meal. Or if there's an event going on, okay, let me invite them out or just try and see like what we could do together. But what do you think you could be doing to help like better keep like more personal relationships alive? Because I do feel like that's a common thing with between millennials.
Mm-hmm. So I definitely feel something that I can do. First of all, just being able to decipher who are my real friends and who are not my real friends.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just based off of my childhood and always isolating myself, I have a tendency to allow that to pretty much roll over into my friendships as well. So I definitely think that one thing I can do is just like stop like being in the house and claiming, oh my god, like I'm a homebody, like this, that, and the third. Like actually like go outside of your work, because with a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
roles that I have, like I'm drained, and like I don't live in New York City yet, but I do work at BuzzFeed, so some days I'm commuting all the way to New York and then coming back home the same night. So it's just like when the weekend comes, like I'm just tired and I feel like I'm recovering from my work. And just by me hearing myself say that out loud, that I'm recovering from my work, like that's actually kind of scary, because I feel like no one should ever have to feel like they are recovering from the work that they do. Like your work should always feed you and fuel you and like nourish you to want to do more. But that's that on that. But outside of just trying to be more involved with your friendships is check up on your friends. And there's just a lot of friendships that I also lost just because I was just all over the place and still in a time of trying to figure out like what's wrong with me. Like, am I depressed? Like, why am I like this? Why am I that? um and really just trying to just be like, look girl, like I'm just so busy and I just need you to understand that, but I do want you to know that I do want our friendship to last, and I do want us to be able to still have a great friendship and still be able to hang out, and just being more on schedule with things, the same way that I'm on schedule with my body, being able to be on schedule with my friends. Like, hey, maybe like Saturday nights is ours, or we'll go do this, or we'll go do that. But on top of that, I think, just me living in Connecticut where everything's very spacey and not as city like as New York City, it's really hard for me to kind of like just go out and get a drink and like either meet somebody or create new friendships and network. Which is why I spent a lot of my time throughout college going to New York City, because I knew that where I live now isn't giving me like what I'm looking for as far as like friendships and things like that. A lot of my friends here back home are either from college or from high school. And at that point, we're all kind of like spread across all over doing our own thing. Um, and so, yeah, it's kind of hard when your work is somewhere else and then your personal life is somewhere else. Although it sounds like that's like the perfect balance or like what you would want ideally, it's just hard because, for me, a lot of my work becomes like, my work friends and, things like that.
I agree. Like, I completely agree and resonate with everything you just said, because I know when I was living back in Gainesville, I was traveling like almost every weekend to like Orlando, Tampa, or Tallahassee, just because the life I wanted, I knew Gainesville wasn't my end all be all. So I was just like always trying to like venture out and like, okay, what can I do to, I guess, kind of like fill my cup or like pour into myself, because I just spent 5 days at a job and I need to like recover from it, but I also need to like re-energize myself with energy that's like the energy I want to be surrounded by, and just get out there and like enjoy life. But it's hard, and I feel like as millennials with like social media, it also plays a part in it too, just because how our parents may have just gone out and like been able to talk and not like people be on their phone, or people stay at home because they don't want to leave their house because they could just talk to their friends through FaceTime or whatever. It does make it hard sometimes to like meet other people unless you kind of like meet them through a friend or through some kind of connection. It's different, and it's honestly just so weird. Can't wait until the next episode to get your cup filled? Follow us on our social media platform for daily inspiration at Pour Into My Cup on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. Or check out our blog and services at www.pourintomycup.org. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast to stay updated when new episodes are released. Leave a review and pour into someone else's cup by sharing the podcast. And I have to ask, is your cup half empty or half full? Peace, love, happiness. Rashiba, signing off.